Is Houston in trouble, bro?
But also, maybe breaking news, Jimmy Butler.
Now you got two of them, right?
Predicting his team's going to win it all this year. I can't remember the last time Jimmy did that other than every single year he's ever been in the playoffs.
It works. Yeah, that's why it's not breaking news. Yeah.
All right. Oh, here we go. This is
just apropos.
Bro, this is premature.
I did not predict a sweep.
Yeah.
I did not predict a 5-game series. I predict a tough, hard-fought 6-game series. And Nick picked the Rockets fine. All right. It was there for you. I said there's room on the bandwagon for you to jump on. You had abandoned the Rockets.
Never abandoned the Rockets.
You had abandoned
I said they
2
don't
weeks
pass
ago.
the
You were
ball.
done with them.
No, it's not.
All right, and so it was all there for you, but you ran away. But anyway, here's the deal. Yeah, look, they have played 6 times this season. These teams, and the Warriors have now won 4. All right, I get it. 3, most of them were regular season games, but still 4 out of 6. That, to me, says one of these teams is better. And they're better. I think they have the 2 best players in the series in Steph and Jimmy Butler. If you want to say Şengün, who did play well, that he's second best, fine, but 2 of the 3 best. And they got 2 of the 3 best, and both of these guys are seasoned playoff performers. You know Steph can deliver in the playoffs. You know Jimmy Butler can deliver in the playoffs. But also, which is really the thing that swayed me all year, the inexperience. And I don't fault the Rockets. I think the Rockets have had a great year, and even if they get swept, they still have had a great year, and they'll learn from this. I don't think they will get swept, but here's where the inexperience steps in. First playoff game for Amin Thompson, 8 points. Inexperience. Now, Şengün, his first playoff game, too, he was great. But Jalen Green, 7 points on 3 of 15 shooting.
Awful.
And something's going on with Jalen Green. And I know he didn't play the usual minutes
single
these last
digits,
few
4
games.
straight games.
Yes. He's averaging 5 points on 20% shooting over their last 4 games. I don't know what in the world is going on with him.
It seemed like once they got the 2 seed, everyone ratcheted it down, but he has not been able to ratchet it up.
Yeah, because even when like I said, he's not playing. Wasn't playing the typical minutes, but he just wasn't shooting well. He's shooting 20%.
Right.
So that's an issue. And here's the thing: I absolutely love the fact that the Warriors won 95-85. All right, because that's a Houston game. Houston is the tough, gritty, grimy team that wants to defend. Yeah, we're going to have our scoring droughts, but so what? We're going to be in your grill. And the Warriors beat them at their own game. They weren't on fire from 3. They shot 37%. That's good, but that's not on fire. No. All right, there was no Podziemski or Moody or some unusual person that got hot.
Draymond did nothing.
Draymond defensively, he was great. But so it was just, we can beat you at your own game. They got out-rebounded by 16. They gave up 22 freaking offensive rebounds and still beat them. So that you got to feel good if you're a Warriors fan.
Certainly can feel good, but I think you're overstating how much trouble Houston is in. Now, I maybe was swayed a bit by Wildes on the Rockets this year, who now I'm doubting, honestly, and I hate to do this to you, how much Rockets Wildes actually watched, because all year long during Weird and Wonderful, he's been going Şengün. And I learned from Reggie Miller all night, it's Şengün. Yeah, now, evidently, everyone has it wrong, but Reggie. Kevin Harlan even got tricked by you right next to him. He kept saying Şengün, and Reggie's like, Şengün does it again. That's neither here nor there. I didn't know. Houston is so good defensively that they can have a game where their splits are 39, 21, 55, and it's a 3-point game with 5 minutes left. You know, they are almost unblowoutable, because even if you get up 20 and they have trouble scoring, they will grind you down a bit. But they cannot survive with Fred VanVleet playing that way and Jalen Green playing that way. And so if I'm the Warriors, I love that I stole home court, and I agree with you, Brew. I love that we took their defensive punch. They scored 95, didn't the Warriors, in the game Steph had 3 points.
Right.
I think that game was 105-95 or 104-95, something like it was.
106-95,
Yeah, whatever
like
it was.
yeah.
They were within a point. And they scored 95 and controlled the entire second half of this game. But maybe I predicted Rockets in 7. And I will admit, I watched that game and I said, okay, let's say we get to a game 7. Is there anyone on this Rockets team that I trust to want to shoot the ball, to, you know what I mean, to be in that spot? I did think Jabari Smith, former number 3, the draft that went Paolo, Chet, Jabari was 3. He's a 6'10 guy. He came into the league and averaged 12 points and 7 rebounds. And then in year 2, 12 and 7. And in year 3, 12 and 7. He seemed confident, so maybe he can have more of an impact. And the Steven Adams minutes at this point, I wonder, should they up those to like 30 plus? Because
well, that's what kept them in the game, is the offensive rebounding.
And here would be my only caveat before, and the Rockets or the Golden State's now minus 375 for the series, huge favorites. DraftKings thinks it's over, got it. If Steph and Jimmy combine for 56 and you guys score 95, is that sustainable or are you a guy short? And now the answer might be they might be a guy short as far as contention, but the Rockets are 2 guys short as far as this series. But I'm not going to panic over this game because I thought Jimmy was excellent and thought Steph was excellent. And it still felt like the Rockets were in it late, even though that avalanche hit them in the third quarter. But obviously, they need someone other than Şengün to not be afraid to shoot the basketball, and that didn't happen yesterday.
So here's the Şengün numbers. Rockets last night, Şengün went 11 for 18, shooting 61%. The rest of the team shot 33%. And unlike the Lakers game where we thought the Wolves were getting open looks, I thought Fred and Jalen Green were getting open looks too. They went 2 for 17 from three-point range, Brew.
Well, Van Vliet, he's the surprising one.
So does that feel like an outlier? And Jalen after the game was like, it's my first game. But that's not an excuse for Fred. It just felt like he had a bad shooting night. Does that give you any pause and like, all right, as long as if Fred hits 3 of those, all of a sudden we're back in the ballgame. I mean, and the rebounding numbers are going to stay the same. I don't think it collapsed a little bit. But the Rockets are going to win the rebounding no matter what the Warriors do.
But the 22-6 on offensive glass is crazy. Yeah, I would be a little concerned as if I'm the Warriors. I mean, again, I think this is going to be a tough series. That ended up being a tough game. I mean, It looked like they had them blown out, and they did carve their way back into the game. Jalen, though, you'll let him have that shot. He's improving his three-point shooting, but not to the point where he's a guy you're afraid of out there. So if I'm defending him, I want him taking the 3 rather than driving to the rim on us. So Van Vliet should definitely be better for me.
Right. Hold on, real quick. This is important.
What?
Because you said you don't want to do picks until a halftime or after game 1.
Yeah.
So I have the Rockets in 7 still. Yeah. Brew has the Warriors in 6 still. Who is your pick in this series?
I'm going to have to take the Rockets in 7, begrudgingly.
What does that mean?
I didn't like what I saw.
Why not pick the Warriors?
No, I'm a Rockets guy.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that. Him and Şengün.
To win this one, Game 2 is Wednesday night for the Rockets. The question is must win. The answer is obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that theoretically you can be like, well, it's not a literal must win. We have on the screen literal must win. I'm here to tell you it is. It is a literal must win. They could if these first 2 games were in Golden State, then no. Right. But you cannot go back to Golden State this young when you looked that shook. I understand that Chase Center is not what Oracle was as far as intimidation factor, but you're not getting both of them in Golden State if you go down there down 0-2, and you're also not, if you split, coming back from down 3-1 against this team. And so, yes, Game 2 for the Houston Rockets is a literal must-win.
Yeah, as you said, Wildes, obviously. All right, I started out by saying the Warriors have now won 4 of 6 against the Rockets. It will be 5 of 7 this season, and the last 2 of them at home in Houston. There comes a point, and you hear a lot of former players or even current players say it, there comes a point in a time in a series where a lot of times one team realizes they're better, especially if it's a kind of a blowout series. If they win 5 of 7, the last 2 in your building, and you're this young, you realize they're former champions. They got us, and then it will be over. So it's an absolute must-win, no question about it.
And I thought the Warriors treated the fourth quarter of this game like a must-win. Usually those inside tracks here, the coach huddles, don't tell us anything. I wonder if Kerr's going to be mad. Because there were two things that came from the inside tracks. One was he was like, guys, if we don't turn the ball over, they can't score on us. They cannot score on us in the half court. And that was good coaching and correct, but that's almost too close to bulletin board for them to allow it on the broadcast.
100%. As soon as I heard that,
I was like, ooh, someone's going to get in trouble.
That is a thing.
And so I bet Kerr would be angry. But the other thing was we heard him say, Steph, Jimmy, do you need a rest? I don't want it. Like he was saying, your guys are both at 40 minutes. Right. Can you finish? And so I think they looked at it as we got up 20. We have a chance to steal home court with, we cannot blow this one. So they treated the end of that game. They pushed Steph harder than they push him in most non-finals games. And it was the game one of the playoffs. So I think that they should be a little worn down for game two and give Houston an edge.
And here's the other thing for Houston. These Steph's Warriors have never given up a 2-0 lead except in the
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.